I'll keep this clean, don't worry. Between 2009 and 2012, the Illinois State Archaeological Survey conducted large-scale investigations in East St. Louis under the auspices of the new Mississippi River Bridge Project, a new alignment of Interstate 64 and 70. While much of the project was focused on the mitigation of prehistoric deposits associated with the East St. Louis Mound Complex, portions of several former turn-of-the-century residential neighborhoods were also investigated. One such neighborhood was located on Block 1 adjacent to the entrance to the St. Louis National Stockyards, established in 1873. Work within this area resulted in the discovery and documentation of numerous historic subsurface features, the most common of which were privy vaults. While recognized and understood within the study of historic archaeology, many here today may not be familiar with privies, their construction, function, and the important role they play in understanding the past. Simply stated, a privy is an outdoor pit toilet, protected by a small outbuilding, often constructed of wood, and other common names are outhouse, water closet, latrine, and necessary house. If you were of German heritage, such as I am, your grandfather may have called it Das Scheißhaus. Above and below ground privy architecture was highly varied. By the turn of the century, many federal and state agencies have begun to issue standardized plans for sanitary privies to better regulate the spread of disease. Most of these utilized either a removable bucket or a deep wood or concrete lined vault to collect waste. The deeper vaults allowed for longer periods between servicing where lime and earth could be spread into the hole to minimize odor and bacteria. A nice soil man, such as the man shown here, would come to clean out the hole. Other names are privy dippers. More material culture was recovered from privies than any other feature type in East St. Louis. The information derived from these artifacts helps fill the gaps in the documentary record, creating a better picture of what it was like to live in an industrial town at the turn of the century. While much was written about East St. Louis's political leaders, wealthy factory owners, and historic events, shockingly little is known about the working class and common resident. The analysis of this assemblage, much of which was reclaimed from privy vaults, is helping to answer the questions that historic documentation simply can't. Discoveries have been found regarding consumer choice patterns, diet and health, social identity, as well as race and ethnicity. Each privy vault was generally located toward the rear of a lot behind a dwelling or tenement, depicted here in green. Privy locations often corresponded with outbuildings, as illustrated by fire insurance maps. Other features documented also included cisterns, cellars, and wells. Privies and other features were defined below several feet of historic fill and then mapped in plan view. Most privy vaults were roughly rectangular wood-lined pits that represented what was left of each outhouse below the ground. Following mapping, each privy was cut in half to create a profile view. Privy vaults typically reached depths between 3 and 8 feet. Soil color charts and soil textures were used to identify and illustrate fill zones. The remaining half was hand excavated using shovels and trowels. Artifacts were collected by zone provenience, and soil samples were taken of possible primary deposits near the base of the feature. Those samples are water screened to reveal botanical items like seeds. The types of artifacts found in each feature are highly varied and include domestic items such as ceramic wares, glass containers, stoneware storage vessels, leather textiles, and food remains. Activity-related items such as iron tools, toys, and personal adornments, as well as tobacco pipes, were also found. Some artifacts were discarded into the privy while it was still in use and are found in what we call primary deposits near the base of the vault. The vast majority are the result of expedient disposal of household refuse or trash following the privy's abandonment. These are grouped into larger fill events. Diagnostic artifacts allow for further interpretation of the life and death of the privy. For example, feature 202 is likely constructed around 1891 and was then abandoned no earlier than 1897. Following a hiatus, it was then intentionally filled with sterile soils around 1908. Artifact analysis can reveal trends that highlight the activities of groups in each neighborhood, such as women and children, that may be inaccurately reported in the documentary record. Although much of the city had access to public water and sewer by the turn of the century, most were not utilizing it. Self-medication appears to be commonplace, possibly in relation to poor sanitation practices that persisted well into the 1920s. After literally wading through the contents of hundreds of privies in East St. Louis, it has become clear to us that these features are our best prospect for understanding its historic residents. Whether trying to improve their livelihood, looking for a new opportunity, or just living where the work takes them, it's clear that privies were in the center of it all. Thank you.